Hi, it's Mitch here from Reverse Mortgage Pros, and in this video, I'm going to walk you through qualifying for reverse mortgage and take a look at the factors that impact how much you can get. So let's get started. Now, if you're new to the channel, I'd love it if you hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button. Feel free to leave a comment below. I'm creating a reverse mortgage educational channel where I'll give you all the latest information and news and tips and details as to whether or not a reverse mortgage is right for you and help you get to the right decision. So a quick overview with regards to qualifying for a reverse mortgage. Most people I talk to get confused as to how you qualify and what exactly impacts how much you can get with a reverse mortgage. And part of the confusion is that all the advertising and all the advertisements all say 55%. Well, they actually say up to 55%, but none of them really make it clear that what they really should be saying is 10 to 55% is what you qualify for reverse mortgage. And none of them talk about, I've never seen any of the adverts or many folks talk about how exactly this is decided. So it feels kind of strange because you're told an amount and you're not told why or why that amount and what the factors are. So I wanted to make this video to help walk you through why you were giving an amount if you were given a reverse mortgage quote. Now, income and credit score are less important, but there are factors, particularly age, that can impact how much you can get. And I'm going to go through all of them in this video. And I'm going to walk you through real life examples and numbers. And again, the goal here is to help you understand if you've been given a reverse mortgage quote, why it is the percentage it is, and what factors were involved in calculating that percentage. So before I get started, a very brief overview as to what exactly a reverse mortgage is in 20 seconds. It's a mortgage for homeowners over 55. It doesn't require you to repay the money. There are no monthly payments. You can get up to 55%, usually 10 to 55%. I'm going to go into detail in this particular video on this percentage calculation. You can get as much money as you qualify for, but any existing mortgage on your home must be paid off first, which is why what the amount you qualify for is actually very important if you have an existing mortgage. And it's designed to help you tap into your home equity for retirement and to continue to live in your home for life. That's the key goal of a reverse mortgage. Now let's jump into today's video, which is qualifying for a reverse mortgage. Now there are 5 key criteria that impact how much you qualify for. There's property type, so whether you have a condo, townhouse, freehold, and even within those, you can have a detached, semi-detached, you can have manufactured, all different kinds of types. There's the location, there's the value, which will be set through an appraisal. There's your age and also your sex, which is the most limiting, not so much the sex or your gender, but the age that you are will be the most limiting factor. And then there's actually the lender that you're applying to. Different lenders land different amounts of criteria nowadays. So you'll notice income and credit score were not on the list. These are much less important for a reverse mortgage than a traditional mortgage. Lenders will look at these though. They are required to by regulators, and they will verify your income and they'll verify your credit scores. They're required to by law. They will not give you a reverse mortgage without doing that. The only time income or credit score could be an issue is just making sure that you have enough money to pay your property taxes and insurance. So sometimes lenders might take a look at your income for this purpose. Now, going through the factors for what are important in qualifying for reverse mortgage, let's start with property type. So freehold homes, your semi-detached, your detached homes will qualify for the highest amount. And then townhouses and condos will usually see a small reduction. So townhouses less than freehold homes and condos less than townhouses. If you're on a larger property, you've got a bunch of land, only the first 5 to 10 acres will be included in the property value depending on the lender, because they want to actually value the part of the land that you live in, not the other part of the land, because remember, a first mortgage is designed to help you stay in your home. And then if you have something like a leased house, a mobile home, they're assessed on a case-by-case basis, but quite often, as is the case right now, they might not qualify for a reverse mortgage at all. So next is property location. So the key thing to think about here is, are you in an active property market? And the definition of that is, are there dozens of home sales in your property market every day? the homes in those sales will qualify for more than homes in quieter housing markets. And this is ultimately because selling the home is potentially how the lender is going to get their money back, and they don't want large amounts of loans tied up in quieter, slower housing markets. So if you are in one of the big cities in Canada, Toronto, Vancouver, there are dozens of home sales there every day. They're going to qualify for more than somebody, say, a cottage out in a lake somewhere where there might be one home sale a year in that particular area. And that's because the lender wants to see an active home sale market to lend more money. So generally speaking, the more urban and larger the town or city you're in, the higher the qualifying amount is going to be. Then the third item on the list is property value. So your home's value will be assessed through an appraisal, and of course, an appraisal isn't a real property value. That's the same as any newly refinanced mortgage. If you're trying to get a new mortgage on your home, right now you'll need an appraisal. A couple of things here: the inside of your home will have very little to do with an appraised value, so don't be surprised if they don't factor in any renovations or the value of anything, any work you've done. That's just simply not how appraisals work. And the other thing to know is that appraised values will often be lower than what you might be able to sell the home for at markets, but higher than tax assessed values. So they're kind of in the middle there. They're generally a conservative, slightly lower valuation than you probably would expect if you were selling it, but way above what your tax assessed value is in many cases. Next, we come to age, and as I mentioned before, this is the most important criteria. And the age of the youngest of the homeowners, if there are more than one homeowner or if you have a spouse, is what will be used. And it's the most limiting factor. So lenders will lend smaller amounts to folks of younger age and higher amounts to folks of an older age. And the reason why is that they don't actually want you to run out of equity in your home over time. So the longer that you hold the reverse mortgage and the more interest that gathers, the longer you have a chance of actually running out of equity in your home when you get to 30, 40, 50 years of holding a reverse mortgage. So they don't want that. It's bad for them, it's bad for you. So they actually reduce their lending for that purpose. And your sex also plays a small part of lenders because females live longer than males. So they actually have to factor that in. How long are they going to live on? A 55-year-old male is not the same as 55-year-old female. So there's a small adjustment there. But just a very small part, but it's just worth mentioning. Then, of course, there are the lenders themselves. So some lenders will lend more in certain property areas and markets than others. Other lenders won't even lend in certain areas of Canada. And then certain property types, some lenders want those, but they don't want other property types. But generally speaking, the lenders tend to stay within about 5% of each other. It can fall out of this range, but usually only temporarily. But generally speaking, they're usually pretty close. So the best thing to do is give you some real life examples and numbers to show you how this works in practice. So I'm going to go through some age groups and give you your what numbers you would expect. So if you're aged 55 to 60 years old, you'd qualify for around 10 to 30% of your home value, appraised home value. The midpoint is about 20% for this group. And now every one of these is going to have a range because where you fit in this range will also depend on all the other factors that I mentioned, the lender, the property type, and the location. If you're 60 to 65, you would qualify for around 15 to 36% for reverse mortgage. The midpoint in this age group is usually around 27%. So where you fit, again, will depend on the other factors. 65 to 70, you're talking 20 to 41%. The midpoint here is around 30. You're 70 to 75 years old, you qualify for around 22 to 46%. The midpoint's around 35. If you're 75 to 80, you qualify for around 27 to 53%. The midpoint's around 40. And if you're over 80 years old, you qualify for around 35 to 55% of the appraised home value. The midpoint's around 45. Now I have all of these in a table in the article that I've written up that accompanies this video. I'll put it in the comments in the information section below the video, so you don't need to write anything down. But a quick way of looking at this and a quick summary is to actually look at the midpoint at each range, which I've done in the table on the right here. And what you can see is that for about every 5 years older you are, you qualify for roughly 5% more. That's a good way of putting it. And remember, these are just the midpoints though, so You may qualify for higher or lower amounts than the amounts given here. So a lot of people over 80 might qualify for the full 55%, but the midpoint for 80-year-olds is actually 45% across Canada. And these amounts can also vary over time. So as the housing market changes, lenders change how much they're willing to lend. So in a hotter housing market, they'll probably lend more. In a cooler housing market, they'll also lend less. But the general point I wanted to make here is that it's about 5% for every 5 years older you are, above 55. If you're kind of wondering how long it'll take you to get to the amount that you're looking for. And I'll put a full table on all this data in the article that's going to accompany this video. So to summarize this video, I walked you through the key qualification criteria for reverse mortgage: property type, location, appraised value, age, sex, and lender. And in terms of limiting how much you qualify for, age is the most important criteria. And you can have somebody who's 55 who only qualifies for 15%, or an 80-year-old who qualifies for the full 55%. Of course, the property type, the location, and the lender matter on top of this, but age is the most important criteria. And these qualifying percentages can change over time from lender to lender as well. I'll try and keep this video up to date, but what I'll really do is keep the article attached to this video up to date with the latest numbers, and you'll see that in the information section below the video. Now, if you're thinking about a reverse mortgage and you're not sure how much you qualify for and you want to see the numbers, I can give you a free reverse mortgage assessment in 90 seconds. I'll advise you if this is a good solution for you, if something better works, and also give you an exact number on what you qualify for. All you need to do is click the link in the video notes or go to reversemortgagepros.ca/apply-now or /assessment also works. And if you've got any comments or questions or anything unanswered about reverse mortgage, whether it relates to this video or not, feel free to leave them to the comments and I'll try and answer all of them. So far, I've answered every single comment on all my videos and I'm going to try and keep that going. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found it useful and gave you some insights as to how much you qualify for and what you can expect in terms of amounts for a reverse mortgage. Thanks.